So I'm here to talk about the climate crisis. I'm here to try and help you clear up some of the confusion that you hear concerning this crisis. Most of the official documents, most of the official pronouncements are telling everyone that irreversible climate change will occur when the average temperature rises above 2 degrees centigrade, or about 3.8 degrees Fahrenheit. And that will take place in about 35 years. There is some confusion around that date because many of these same officials constantly refer to trend lines that will occur in 2100. So many people believe that 2 degrees will be crossed somewhere around 2100. That's not true. 2 degrees will be crossed in the next 35 years. While these officials continue to assert that irreversible climate change won't occur until we reach and cross 2 degrees, there are many conditions on the planet now going through irreversible change. Let me give you some examples. For the first time in 250 million years, all of the coral reefs are dying or bleaching. While coral reefs only constitute 2% of the total oceans, they are 50% of all the biological life. The official in Florida, responsible for the 600 miles of coral reefs that protect the Florida coast against violent storms, was told that these coral reefs would not come under threat for at least 35 years. And they are disintegrating back into the ocean now at 1.2 degrees. Scientists have now learned that because of all the heat that has gone into the oceans from the atmosphere, that the oceans are now giving up the very vital amounts of oxygen that the fish live on. Fish live on 2% oxygen while we live on 20%. But oxygen will boil off at these temperatures. And they now can see that within 15 years, 2/3 of the Pacific Ocean will be devoid of all life from the fact there won't be enough oxygen for any life to exist. And all life will suffocate. These same officials who try to convince you that irreversible climate change won't take place for 35 years, have also said that we won't have an ice-free Arctic within 50 years or more. In 2016, at 1.2 degrees, officials now believe we will be ice-free in the Arctic over this summer. Boreal forests those are our northern forests in Canada. We used to have very short fire seasons. They're very robust forests. But at 1.2 degrees, these forests have dried out so much that the fire season now extends into April right through September. And we can see the effects in Alberta, where millions of acres are burnt to the ground, lives destroyed, towns obliterated. It was never projected to happen, but at 1.2 degrees they are happening. We've had the two most violent typhoons in history affect the Philippines in the last 2 years. These are called super typhoons. Scientists now say historic records show that prolonged temperatures at 1.2 degrees can and will produce megastorms. Megastorms are things that humans have never experienced, but history shows that megastorms, hurl 1,000-ton boulders out of the ocean onto land. Only 300-mile-an-hour winds and storm surges looking like tsunamis at 100 feet could have produced those types of results. Drought conditions are spreading throughout the world. Syria hasn't had regular rain in over a decade, and they're killing each other. People can claim that's all due to religious conflict. May not be, we don't know. But we do know that India faces the worst water crisis in its history. Their aquifers are 78% depleted. They've had no monsoon rains in 2 years, and they're counting on this year having normal monsoon rain. The problem with that is that the urban pollution, which they won't take care of. New Delhi is one of the most polluted cities. All of India's cities are very polluted, but people don't realize. In addition to killing people, these same pollutants are powerful climate forces or climate pollutants. They're 1,000 times more potent per ton than carbon dioxide. So the Indian subcontinent isn't 1.2 degrees, more like 2.8 degrees above what it should be. And at some point it'll be too hot to rain over there, and it will never come back to normal. Reports in the news say 1 billion people now in India are at risk from just their survival, running out of water. Governor of California says that even though we had some rain this year, Californians are going to face permanent drought at 1.2 degrees. Go on and show you evidence that says that at 1.2 degrees, the world is going through radical changes. So what have officials done? They continue to hold on to the 2-degree hope that allows them, in another 35 years, to get around to dealing with this problem. Isn't that convenient? 2 degrees give you 35 years. And they use that mantra over and over again. Irreversible climate change will take place at 2 degrees. And the physical evidence just doesn't back it up. It's happening now. So how are they approaching climate mitigation? Well, it turns out they're using out-of-date metrics, accounting systems, protocols, we call them, that climate scientists say won't work. So the COP21 treaty, WRI's protocols, COP 1, 2, and 3, all the climate registries, California, state of California's AB 32, are all based on what we call the second assessment of the International Panel on Climate Change report of 1997. These climate scientists work diligently every 5 years and produce a new consensus assessment to help the world adjust to climate change and use the latest science to get in front of this problem. The world authorities chose to ignore the fifth assessment. Unfortunately, they couldn't use it because there were no protocols to convert the raw science into accounting principles. And we've solved that problem. And now we do have protocols available. Well, you have a choice. You continue to believe that 2 degrees is okay. You can wait 35 years, and you can use out-of-date protocols. COP21 will cost $13 trillion and reduce climate pollutants by 5% by 2100 and can't reduce the global mean temperature anywhere near 2 degrees and more like 4 degrees. You can go and support the fifth assessment that will be resisted by these forces. Fifth assessment offers outstanding choices. Fifth assessment is consensus science. It isn't some flaky idea of science. It is 5,000 climate scientists working 5 years and signed off by 170 countries. This is what we need to use. And if we do switch to the fifth assessment, it can and does show that we could achieve climate stabilization at 1.2 degrees within the next 10 years and below. And it won't cost $13 trillion. Many of these projects have return on investment. So why is this so important? Why is money so caught up in all of this? The World Bank and others say we're spending $350 billion a year on climate mitigation. That's not true. We are spending $350 billion, but not on climate mitigation. 80% of that money goes to consultants, engineering firms, lines of pockets of big companies that are claiming to do your footprint that scientists say won't work. That industry is licking their chops at the $13 trillion that are going to be spent on useless mitigation. In fact, many of these same institutions are planning now to switch to adaptation because they know what they're doing won't work. They're going to make money off the misery of others. The choice is clear. We need to switch to the fifth assessment as quickly as possible. International standards are being proposed to institute the fifth assessment as quickly as possible. They will be fiercely resisted by these entrenched interests. Same interests that say you have 35 years. The same interests say that irreversible change won't take place until 2 degrees. The same interest that actually, in some cases, believe it or not, are the same climate deniers that control the money. So it is clear that the science is there, the consensus documents are there, the protocols are now there. We can get the job done. We can't do it without you. We can't do it without the Googles and the Apples, Home Depots, state of California. We need to switch. Have the courage to move on. Get the job done. We can't afford this kind of crisis.